This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
43-time 20-goal scorer goes to the net. Right down the slot. It's Vince Dunn, and he scores. Going back to last season, Pasternak. 61 goals. He has all 33 games. It's his one-timer. Finds the back of the net. Through center on the goal. Metzger has it in neutral towards the empty cage. He scores again. Alex Ovechkin one closer to 800. Who's the draw now? It's a 3-on-2 for the Stars. One down. Carries up across line rip, and they score! Glenn Denning went to the net. Rita writes it. A short-handed goal makes it 4-1 Dallas. That will not make the coach happy.
What the puck is going on?
All right, welcome in, everybody. What the puck is going on? We are back in studio for our Thursday installment here to take a live look at all of the NHL action for today. I am Dave Metzger. In studio with me again. What a treat. We are being spoiled by all the good games, and me and Steve are in the studio once again. What's going on, Steve?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just another night of NHL. I feel like I've been a little extra hyped here as we get into the playoff stretch, and I feel like most every game that we come across, except for the bottom feeder versus bottom feeder scenario, I feel like just about every game has some kind of playoff implication. So it's been a little exciting. Some good games last night too, and we'll see what happens tonight.
No doubt.
We're going to take a look at it for sure.
Yeah, and pretty long list here, Steve. So a lot of choices here. Yes, I 100% agree with you.
A bunch of 7 o'clock face-offs, which I like, so we'll face off in less than an hour.
Yeah, yep. So really good slate, Steve. A lot of opportunities here for us. We're going to see what we can find. But again, I do 100% agree with you. You know, we're coming down the stretch now of the NHL season. Everything is going to get ramped up. Intensity, emotions, it's all out there. So it should make, for a pretty good finish here. And we'll see what happens in the standings. And we'll take a quick look at the futures at the end of the show as usual. See if there's been any movements, anything like that. So we'll jump right into it. Nashville Predators are in Florida to take on the Panthers. Over-under is going to be 7. The Predators are 180 on the money line. Panthers minus 210. So initial thoughts here, Steve. I want to take Florida, but it's just, how things have been going. We've thought one way and it just flies the other.
Well, Florida is the perfect example of that team, at least for me.
Right.
Now, when they kind of started to play better about a month ago, I was using them as kind of an experimental team, which that's kind of part of my strategy. I don't want to play the same team every night. I feel like in the NBA, maybe I do that a little bit more often, like, the Bulls can win this game by 12 points until they blow it or whatever. And then I feel like I use the same cast of characters more often than the NBA with the system that I have there. But you need and pick and choose when to use them. But I don't have any kind of specific profile for teams from the get-go in the NHL. So I've been doing what I call in my head experimental teams, in which I'm going to kind of track this team thinking that they have the ability to play up and, get some cashes. So Florida was one of those experimental teams for me. And I've jumped off that ship, that's for sure. They were playing good, and then they took a turn for the worse, and they lost to Nashville. They got destroyed by Nashville a couple Saturdays ago. 7-2 was the final there. So I'm not ready to jump on any kind of Florida bandwagon. In fact, earlier this week in this show, I was talking about Nashville. They're a team that seems like they're trying to surge. So I'm going to actually take a flyer on Nashville tonight, where, this may be the old scenario where I bet one team and it loses for me, and I bet the other team the next time, and then they lose for me.
Right.
I'm quite aware of that. And Nashville will fall off my radar if that's the case as well. But I would consider Nashville one of my experimental teams right now. They have had a few injuries, but it's been the same guys, and they've been playing better without them anyway here in the last few weeks. Florida, the Panthers, I mean, they are missing a couple key guys. Barkov out, Spencer Knight, Giovanni Smith. They haven't had Hardquist at all, Sam Bennett. So, I don't know. I kind of like the way Nashville has been trending. And if I'm going to bring that up, I guess I'll talk about this. 6-4 for Florida overall in their last 10. Just winning the one in a row. They are much better at home than they are away. They've scored a lot of goals, but they've given up a lot. They are 214 on both sides, if you didn't know that. In Nashville, they're greedy. They don't allow goals themselves, and they're only playing 500 here in the last 10 themselves. But they are right there in the thick of it. If you want to call 8 points back of the wild card spot in the thick of it, but they are really one of two contenders outside the bubble in the West. So there's still hope for them. And if defense can play good down the stretch, they can just find a little bit more offense, then maybe, just maybe, they can climb their way into a playoff spot if, Seattle sputters enough. I think the one team that could sputter in the West that's in the top 8 right now, I think if it's anyone, is going to be Seattle. I don't think it's Winnipeg. I think they'll hold on regardless. But that's going to open a door for Calgary and Nashville if the Kraken can't continue from their winning streak the other night in these ways. I'm going to take a shot on Nashville just for the fact that they beat Florida pretty bad a couple weeks ago, and I'm not quite convinced Florida's all that, although they've both been about the same team here.
Right.
And we, just as you said, I mean, Florida's they're doing what they've been doing all season long. That being said, they're in the thick of it too themselves. They are in the group of 3 teams at 66 points. Buffalo, the Caps with their win get there last night. The Senators and Red Wings both at 64 points. So really tight in the East. I mean, both these teams have to have motivation. Maybe an over actually would be a good call in this game, to be honest. I could see Florida getting some goals at home motivated, and then their bad defense letting Nashville get a few, I guess.
Right. All right, Steve. So if we're going to go about it that way, I'm going to touch on it just a little bit, kind of on both sides here. I'm going to kind of split right down the middle. We're getting a good price here, I feel like, anyway, on the
overtime bet. I was going to say we got another overtime scenario.
Hey, you did call that in the Capitals game.
Two of the four did that. Because the Rangers went to overtime too. Right?
They did, yeah.
And then New Jersey and Colorado, one goal off. And
almost.
Yeah. So that wasn't too far off the thinking for sure.
No, not at all.
But if you played a round robin and played the twos, you definitely hit one.
Yeah, so you got something out of it.
In fact, if you put a nice price on it, if you put like $25 down on that, I think you would have won something like probably like $275 or something.
So not bad there, in my mind. But over team total goals, Nashville at 2.5, minus 155.
I like that. I like that angle better, to be honest.
But if they did it once, why can't they do it again, Steve? And if you're going to go that route,
yeah, because they have a 7 up for the over/under here in this game. Wow.
Yeah, it's high.
But it's only 2.5 for Nashville.
2.5 is getting you minus 155.
I got over 2.5 minus 144. So you're getting off cheap on Nashville on that, I think.
Yeah. You're getting the better number. I wish I had that number. I would definitely, and I still might actually play that. I kind of like that.
I'm going to load that up on the side ticket for sure. I like that. Okay,
nice.
All right, nice. Good looking, Dave. Good looking.
So the other thing I was thinking, Steve, well, along with what you were saying, your 60-minute line for the Preds is going to be plus 255 over here for me. With that number, I say why not? Like I said, if they did it once, why can't they do it again? But we're going to flip the coin, and then we're going to move on. If you think this is a little bit of a revenge game here for the Panthers, they took that whooping the last time these two teams played. You're getting a minus 130 Panthers on the 60-minute line to win at home. So if you're going to play that way, I think that's the way to do it. Your minus 210 on the money line is really not that appetizing. I think you got to reach here in the 60-minute if we want to get some values from Florida. So there's a couple different ways I think we found here, Steve, in this game to kind of go about it. But I think it's going to be either taking your shot on that 60-minute line, the team total goals for the Preds, or the revenge angle with the Panthers on the 60-minute line.
Yeah, I mean, the number's good on the 60-minute line. Lankinen's in net for the Predators. He's had a good season, actually. 6-5-1, so a 500 record, but his goals against his 2.70, 9.919 save. So he's been solid in net. It doesn't matter who the Panthers throw in net. They haven't been good either one.
Yeah, I completely agree there, Steve. All right, so next game up, and this one I will say is pretty interesting. The Pittsburgh Penguins travel to Tampa to take on the Lightning. Your over-under is going to be at 6.5. That's going to be minus 120 for the over, plus 100 for the under. Pittsburgh is plus 140 on the money line. Tampa is minus 165. So here's the play that I immediately go to with that information here. I think I like Tampa on the 60-minute line. I know Pittsburgh, they've been playing a little bit better. They have the 3 in a row there. But you got to like Tampa, man. They are a really strong team in my mind. So I think in this for me, I would fade Pittsburgh here, go with Tampa at minus 105 on the 60-minute line. Steve, what do you think? I'm sure you're going to get into the team totals, so I'll kind of, that's I like to play it as well, but I think that's kind of your wheelhouse there. So I don't know. What do you got for Tampa, Pittsburgh?
Let me say this. I'll say this about the Penguins. They are kind of the marquee name. So whenever they have a game against a Tampa, against a Washington, against the Bruins, against the Rangers, that game automatically has, oh, yeah, this is a good game attached to it, regardless of how good or bad they've been playing. In that 8th spot in the wild card, you can't say Pittsburgh's been super phenomenal by any stretch, but they have won 3 in a row, 5-5 in the last 10. +4 on their goal differential, scored 195, allowed 191. Tampa, though, is basically the same, 5 and 5 in the last 10, but 2 of those were in overtime, and they've lost 2 in a row. Tampa, 22-5-3 at home. Here's the thing. I feel like anytime I take Tampa, it's not a good dealio for me. I've been on the bad end of them. And I've always been a Tampa backer for the Admirals back in the day.
Right.
And seeing a lot of those players play in the AHL go up, win the Calder Cup, and then go to the NHL and win the Stanley Cup, which is a pretty good feat, to be honest. Some of those players on Tampa have that. But I don't know. I just don't have the trust there. Yeah, let me see what these lines are. I mean, unfortunately, I think this may be a fun game to just watch and pass on for me.
What about some overtime, maybe? That could happen with some teams.
Yeah. And I clicked off my sports books. Let me get back on. Like literally clicked it off. Okay, so in this game with the team total goals, if I'm going to look at those, Tristan Jarry is the only listed goalie, by the way. So we don't have anything listed for Tampa Bay yet. Pittsburgh over 2.5 goals. I think that's the play, just because they've been playing better. They might not win, but they might keep it competitive. You're just asking them to get 3 goals. I feel like I want to slap teams when I'm just asking them to get 3 goals, and here they are in the third period, halfway through with 1 goal. I'm like,
right.
what was I thinking? But At minus 144, the same number as the Nashville game. Man, you just need 3 goals by the road teams. Yeah, I'll plug that on a ticket. I'll take a swing with the Penguins.
I think I like that, Steve. I'm getting that same number as well. We know that certainly, Pittsburgh is capable of scoring 3 goals, especially when we, if it's not Vasilevsky in goal, I think their chances are definitely better as well.
They're healthy. Both these teams are healthy. They're as healthy as it gets in the NHL.
So, yeah. All right, Steve. That's, well, we got 2 sides of it. Tampa at home on the 60-minute line at minus 105, and probably what would probably
they're probably both winners.
Yeah, probably. Your pick might be a little bit better though. I mean, it doesn't make me nervous to ask Pittsburgh.
Well, what Tampa did to Florida the other night wasn't encouraging, or at home.
Right.
Getting blown out of the gates.
Yeah, I was not crazy about that. I talked a lot about that, and I felt pretty silly on that one. All right, so there we go. There's some good angles on that one. Definitely, that might be one to put on the TV and take a watch on that. So next game up, we have the Ottawa Senators traveling to New York to take on the Rangers. Steve, I do believe Patrick Kane is going to suit up for the Rangers tonight. Man, how do you not take the Rangers on any given night? But I do believe the Rangers played last night.
Well, let me take you to your text to me 24 hours ago where you said, I don't even know if I can quote that on this show. What you said about the Rangers, to be honest. Why do all my pages keep clicking off here? Sorry, Dave.
No, you're good.
Ottawa, man. That's the team that's been on a little bit of a rise here, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
They're charging. They're 64 points now. Now here it is. The 2 wild card spots are held by the Islanders and the Pittsburgh. Islanders have 70 points. Pittsburgh 69 points. After that, you're not going to catch the teams ahead of them. But they're catchable by the following teams: Buffalo with 66, Florida with 66, Washington with 66, and then it's Ottawa with 64. They won 3 in a row. 6-3-1 in their last 10. So they are playing the best out of all of these teams. Detroit is tied with them, but they've been playing better than Detroit too. They're the hottest team besides Pittsburgh. As far as winning 3 in a row goes, but in the last 10, they definitely have the better record. So they've gained the most ground. Ottawa's the play-on team right now. Against the Rangers, who, they're kind of comfortable, and they have won 2 in a row, the 6-3-1 in their last 10. Can they catch Jersey for a better playoff spot? Maybe. They'll have Toronto right there. They'll deal with them in a playoff race, right, for seeding. They trail them by 3. Tampa's on their heels. It's not a question of motivation, I don't think.
Right.
But let me get the injury report here, and that's the page I'm missing. So stand by here. NHL injury.
And I'm trying to pull up the schedule here, but this app is just I gotta find a different one.
Right, and then all right. So by the team for injuries, that's gonna be the key component for me in this game. Let's see how they're listing everyone. If you look at Ottawa, they're healthy. If you look at the Rangers, they're healthy. The 2, it's the same guys who've been hurt, and there's only just a couple of them. So I'm not going to consider that a big deal. Let's see if we're getting 2.5 goals with Ottawa, though, because that would be the one thing that interests me. Because Yaroslav Halak is in goal. It's not going to be Shesterkin.
Right.
All right, so that's going to give me thought that, yes, the Rangers can win, but Ottawa might get theirs too. And Ottawa total goals over 2.5. Again, a minus 144, the same number as the other 2. I mean, I think that tells you an omen right there. You almost got to lock it in. So
right.
I'll put that on the side ticket. All 3 road teams, not Nashville Penguins, Ottawa, to get the 3 goals.
There you go. I like that, Steve, and I have it at minus 150 for the Senators. And I think that's probably achievable for them. They have been playing well. I mean, they have really all the motivation in the world. They're in the thick of it. Maybe, in the middle of the season or so, they may not have, thought themselves to be there, but here they are playing well at the time that you need to be playing well. So, yeah, why not? Let's take a shot on the Senators. If you really want to push it just that much further, and they pick up what would be a really big road W, Senators at plus 215 on the 60.
Yeah, that's a nice price.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
And you're getting plus 135 on the money line, too. So if you want to go for an upset tonight, this might be the one to take.
Yeah, I mean, Halak's in goal. The Senators have been hot, so that gives you a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, we're going to try and ride with the Senators a little bit in that one. All right, next game up, Buffalo Sabres are in Boston to take on the Bruins.
Honestly, so when we talk about experimental teams, I would consider Ottawa in that boat.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Just because of the way they are. They might trend and keep going,
Absolutely. And, they picked up a very good young defenseman from Arizona. We talked about that, Chicherin.
Right.
They made that trade. So they got a little bit better with it. So why not take a shot at it? They're feeling pretty good there in Ottawa, playing, like I said, well at the right time. So, yeah, let's take a shot on it. I think the team total is probably the way to go there. So here in the Buffalo and Boston game, we have the over-under at 6.5. The money line is going to be plus 240 for the Sabres, minus 285 for the Bruins. And my first thought in this one, Steve, your over is going to pay minus 125. That's kind of in my mind right now. Both of these teams can light it up. Look at Tage Thompson with Buffalo. He's absolutely tearing it up right now. They're scoring goals. Boston, we know all about them. We really don't have to talk about them that much. If you don't know about Boston by now, then I don't really know what to tell you. Boston is the cream of the crop right now. So, Steve, I think with the firepower here on the ice for me, I'm not going to concern really too many moving parts with this one. And I think the minus 125 there is appropriate for that over 6.5. What do you take from this one?
Interesting game. Is this a statement game for the Bruins? Now they acquired Tyler Bertuzzi from the Red Wings.
Another big
Did
trade.
you see that?
Yep.
Did you see Jonathan Quick went to Vegas? Already?
Yeah.
So how about this? You're Jonathan Quick. You're living in Los Angeles. They tap you on the shoulder, say, come to the office. We're going to send you to Columbus, Ohio. You're like, what the hell am I going there for? I'm going to Ohio, and you're on the plane. You probably get there, and you're like, okay, I'm here. Let's just make the best of it. Hey, change of plans, buddy. You're going to Las Vegas, Nevada. Is that not like hitting the jackpot right there?
Yeah.
Like if you're him, think about that for real. That must have been the best news for him. That could rejuvenate the Golden Knights, maybe.
It could.
If Quick can just play a little bit better. The biggest problem that Jonathan Quick had in Los Angeles is Copley.
Right.
18-4. But let's see. That's interesting. So yeah, back to this Bruins game anyway. As good as Boston has been, and yes, they have been a freight train, have they been overly impressive? I mean, have they at the end of the day? Why do my pages keep closing here? Stand by 1 second. Let me get this back on here. I want to get the recent.
So, Steve, real quick, to
Yeah.
touch on that Jonathan Quick trade. When that first came about, Columbus didn't even want him. They didn't want that part of the trade. They wanted, the other guy, but LA kind of forced that. So I think the wheels were in motion for Columbus to do something like that before he even got to town. I think general consensus is he wasn't going to be there long anyway.
Okay.
He didn't want to be there. Columbus didn't want him. The Kings forced that on Columbus to make that trade. So yeah, they just used him as a flip piece basically to get something else that they wanted. So that's what I'm hearing about that anyway. So good for Quick. He's going to go back to a contender, which, he's probably one of the greater goalies. I mean, I think Hall of Fame for sure. But
here's what I was talking about on Boston. Not trying to play down the fact that they're 9-1 in their last 10 and they're just on fire. But in 3 of the last 5 games, they only do have 3 goals.
Oh.
And they've got a 4th goal to beat Calgary, but that was in overtime. And then the game against Seattle was a shootout. But everything's been close. They've been one goal games, except for the 2 3-1 victories against Vancouver and Ottawa. So it hasn't been blowout city on parts of Boston. Buffalo has a little bit of firepower for sure, right?
Well, yeah.
So we know that. So Buffalo, who is in that group of teams we said that are trying to fight in there into the playoffs, they are right there at the driver's seat with the teams with 66 because they have less games played. They have 3 less games played than Florida, who they're tied with. They have 4 less games played with the Capitals that they're tied with, if you look at it that way. So they're in a driver's seat, and they've scored 223 goals on the season. That is nothing to shake at. In fact, 223 goals scored is only 3 less than Boston. How about that?
Wow.
So an over looks like the play, as you said, Dave. I think you mentioned that. But if you're going to get some team goals again here, then maybe now Boston's been only scoring 3, but they've only been allowing 1 or 2.
Right.
So they've been great defensively. But at plus 104 at over 2.5 goals again, maybe with the road team Buffalo here, over 2.5, getting plus money. Put it this way: if you have those 3 I talked about, Nashville, Penguins, and the Senators, and now you put Buffalo in there, you're getting paid 9-1 on that right now.
Oh, that's nice.
For all 4 to get the 3 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Not bad at all. So yeah, definitely. I think we see some goals there in that game, Steve. All right, next up, Seattle Kraken in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. This should be a pretty good game as well. Over under is at 6.5. Kraken are minus 120 on the money line. Detroit is plus 100 at home, that is. So you're getting a plus number on Detroit. 60-minute lines are going to be plus 140 for Seattle, plus 145 for Detroit. I don't know. I think this game is, the way Seattle's been playing anyway, kind of evenly matched. So maybe we kind of leave that there. There might be a possibility for some overtime. But we look at some team totals here. Over 3.5 for the Detroit Red Wings is plus 130. And over 3.5 for the Kraken is plus 125. I don't know, Steve. This one's kind of hard to judge. Maybe we look at
overtime.
Yeah, overtime. Husso's the only goalie I see right now, so I was going to say something about a goalie prop, but I like to have both guys there before I make that decision.
That's a smart thing to do, yep.
So we'll leave that out. And I don't know, Steve, kind of a tough one here is what I'm trying to say. What do you have there for us stat-wise that might make me think something different?
Not much, really, to be honest. Both teams, as far as injuries go, Don Scory missing for Seattle and Burakovsky again. I mean, They're just not the same team without
No,
them.
that hurts them.
Both of these teams are 500 down in their last 10 for the most part, right around 500. Now, Detroit's lost 3 in a row. So where they sit with 64 points, just 5 points out of that wild card spot, 2, 3 of those wins, they're right there. They're literally a point out. Right. So they've been their own worst enemy. They haven't been able to capitalize. If you had a good ticket, because a few weeks back you're getting paid 6-1 to make the playoffs or whatever it was on Detroit, you're kind of like kicking yourself now because they're playing so good, and now they're starting to get a little bit of media hype, and now they've kind of went into the crapper a little bit.
They seem to be up and down, so they're a little erratic.
They're definitely erratic. They've given up more goals than they scored, so that's not encouraging. But Seattle, I don't know. Both these teams seem like. See, here's the good thing Seattle has going for them is they're 8-19-3 on the road. I will say that this is a pass.
I think so
for sure by me.
Yeah.
So I'll put it that way. I'm happy with you said over 3.5 goals. Neither one of those interest me. Not the slightest bit. And then if I look at the recent games here, let's see here. All right, so in the last 5, Seattle has scored 5 goals, 1 goal, 5 goals, 0 goals, 4 goals. So just inconsistent. In the last 5 games for the Red Wings, they scored 1 goal, 2 goals, 0 goals, 4 goals, and 3 goals. That's not encouraging to get over 3.5. I'll tell you that. Yeah, this is going to be a pass for me.
Yeah, I think so as well. All right, Steve. You know what? I have a feeling that this one we're gonna be kind of in the same boat with this next one. Dallas Stars are in Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. Now, you would think
it's a back-to-back though for Dallas.
Exactly. Right? So you would think
they played last night, right? Or am I wrong about that?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'm thinking back to when they beat. No, I had them last night. I had them in a small.
Okay, so yeah,
I had them on a live goal prop with the. They got there, but the Capitals didn't get there.
Right.
Yeah, so they won 4-2 last night.
So they're on a back-to-back.
They beat Arizona.
That's right. Because I had Arizona, which
I knew it was someone bad. So they are on a back-to-back, but hey, that's not a bad travel hub, Dallas to Chicago. That's an easy flight. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is crazy travel for them. But yeah, coming off the back-to-back, I'm not overly concerned about that at Chicago, to be honest.
Right. So if that's going to be the case, Steve, my way of going about the back-to-backs is you usually find an under after a back-to-back. So the over-under here is at 6. Minus 115 for the over, minus 105 for the under. Stars heavily favored, minus 250 on the money line, while Chicago is plus 210 on the money line. Stars, if you want to take them, you think they win the back-to-back, you want to get at least a little bit better value out of it. The 60-minute line is going to be minus 160. The Blackhawks putting up a big number on the 60-minute line at plus 320. I don't know, Steve. This is not a game that I'm going to spend a lot of time on just because I don't feel to me that it's, very interesting. We know where the Blackhawks are and what they're doing with their team as far as rebuilding and injuries. Dallas playing on, consecutive nights. So I think we take a stab at that under 6 at minus 105. Other than that, Steve, nothing really jumping out to me in this one. You got anything for Dallas and Chicago?
Mrazek's the only listed goalie, and as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. 3.82 goals against average, just 8-16-2 on the season. It'll probably be Wedgwood because Ottinger played last night.
Right.
So we'll assume it's Wedgwood when their goalies are listed. But Dallas is in a position where they can't yield points, and they can't sit back and relax either. And this is a game that they actually have to win as far as maintaining their status where they are. It would not take much in the standings. Let me pull these up to make sure I say this right. Because at 77 points, if Dallas were to go ice cold, they could find themselves out of the playoffs from first place completely. So this is not a game to sit back and relax on. They need to win. They are a plus 38 point differential on the year. The 3 overtime losses will sting them a little bit here in the last 10, but those are points you need as well. So maybe those come back to help them out. That's the difference. Those 3 points actually from first and second right now between them and the Wild. I'm going to expect Dallas to play with a good effort tonight and beat a team that they should. And I think you can play any kind of alternate line you want.
Right. All right, Toronto Maple Leafs in Calgary to take on the Flames. Your over-under is 6.5 at minus 120. Your under is at plus 100. Probably for good reason. My initial thought here is going to be an over as well. But Toronto, and that's kind of surprising to me, is plus 105 on the money line. Flames are minus 125 on the money line. But the Leafs, and I don't know, they must be on a back-to-back. I'd have to check that. I didn't think they played last night, but the Leafs are plus 155 on the 60-minute line. Calgary plus 125. Now, I don't know, Steve, when I see a number like that for one of the top teams, like I said, they must be playing on a back-to-back, because why else would Toronto have a plus 155 on the 60-minute line and Calgary is actually favored? I think Toronto is the much better team. So you see where they're at in the standings. I think with this, and maybe I'm moving a little too fast here, but my eyes jump right to that 60-minute line for Toronto. You're getting a great number for that. You don't usually see that number for them. Plus 155, 60-minute line for me, Steve. I think this is a winnable game for them. What do you think here? Leafs, Flames, what do you got?
Toronto, a strong team. Calgary is fighting for their playoff lives, and they are at home. I think at the end of the day, there's going to be a pass for me just because Toronto gave me such a bad taste in my mouth last time out. Calgary was an experimental team for me last season, where they did very well for me.
Right.
I hung on to them for a long, long time, knowing that they would probably not even win it, although a lot of people thought they were Stanley Cup, Western Conference favorite. They were to pick by a few anyway to get there, but that never happened. And then this year, they just have never found their footing.
No, nothing like last year, really.
This is going to be a pass for me. I guess if I liked anything, it would be Toronto over 3.5 team goals at plus 134 is a good price, I think, for that. The goalies that I see listed are Markstrom and Joseph Wall. So I don't know. I think I have a decent amount of plays already. So this is one I can afford to pass on, knowing that there's better opportunity.
Right.
So that's what I'll do on this one. But I think your best play on that would be the Toronto over 3.5 team goals, knowing that this could be 4-4 going to overtime, or 3-3 and you lose that bet.
And we could
the overtime bet would intrigue me on this a little bit too, to be honest. Whatever that's paying.
Yeah, Canadian teams going at it. That could certainly happen. Steve, I'm looking back to last night real quick. Yes, the Maple Leafs did play last night, and they got stomped by the Oilers.
Yeah,
5-2.
Yes. Edmonton. Yes.
Okay, so that's why that. See, do your research, because that's why that number is there. So that's good to know. Maybe we'll pump the brakes on that just a hair. We have a little bit of time to think about that game, though. So maybe the team total is the way to go on that one. Toronto maybe kind of finds their groove a little, gets that groove back a little bit.
They're a good team.
They are.
I said it yesterday. They've been as good offensively as anyone in the league.
Oh, absolutely. They can definitely light the lamp. So, all right, let's go to the next game. I don't know why Now it's closing out on me, Steve.
I got 10 o'clock. Wild Canucks, or is there another?
I think that's the one we are going to next. If I can. Yep, here we go. All right, yep. The Minnesota Wild in Vancouver to play the Canucks. This one, for me, I think you can sign me up for a alt puck line here in favor of the Wild. I think they are definitely the much better team. They're getting minus 155 on the money line. And actually, Steve, this might be the better play. They're getting a plus 100 on the 60-minute line. Over under is 6. Your over is minus 115. Your under is minus 105. I don't know, Steve. That 60-minute line is looking mighty good to me, getting a plus number with a team like Minnesota. Vancouver is, they were in a fight for it last year. That's certainly not the case this year. They're, I guess probably middle of the road. I don't think they're probably as bad as maybe the Ducks, Chicago, teams that are really, really in the basement. I think they're probably just a step up from that. So with that being said, probably I don't think either of us, I can't speak for you, Steve, but I have a good feeling. I don't think either of us are going to play anything Vancouver. So Minnesota seems to be on the 60-minute line anyway. That seems to be the pick for me anyway. Steve, Minnesota Canucks. I'm gonna guess a pass from you.
No, I like the Wild. And yes, winners of 2 in a row, and they're as hot as it gets in the West right now. They're now second in the Central, 74 points. They're hot. They have more points gained in the last 10 than Colorado does. They have the same identical record as Vegas in the last 10, 7-1-2 overall. So those are your 3 hot teams in the West. Everyone else is either 500-ish or below for the most part. You can throw the Kings in that mix at 6-2-2.
Right.
For sure. But everyone else has been just playing average hockey for the most part. So Minnesota is hot. Vancouver, 4-5-1 in their last 10. They've given up 240 goals. Now, the Wild don't score a ton, but they don't allow a lot either.
Right.
They're just one of those good, strong defensive teams. This could be, I don't know. I think you take Minnesota team goals. I think you take a Minnesota alternate line. This has 4-0 written all over it to me.
Oh, absolutely. And they're minus 1.5 on that puck line there. Is that plus 155 already?
Yeah, I think that's a good number. I mean, that's the easiest one. Even when they're up a goal, they can cover that line for you. Like you said, plus 100 on the 60-minute line. Their team goals is over 3.5 at plus 122. That's fine as well. I think it's Minnesota all day.
Yeah, I think so too, Steve. And if you move that up to 2.5, you're going to get an even better number. So I think it's Minnesota or nothing here. All right, next game up. This will be quick. St. Louis is in San Jose to play the Sharks. Over under is 6.5. Your over is at plus 100. Your under is at 6.5, or over under is minus 120. I'm sorry. Blues are plus 100 on the money line. San Jose minus 120. Steve, I really don't think I'm going to even open up the menu on this one. Really doesn't interest me. Neither of these teams really have anything to play for. So this is going to be definitely a pass from me. St. Louis, San Jose. Steve, anything?
A complete pass.
Complete pass. That's what I thought.
I want nothing to do with it. Don't want to watch it. For everyone out there, just so you know.
Maybe Blues on the money line. They might be.
We'll give you a couple stats so you know. 3-5-2 in their last 10 are the Blues. They've given up 220 goals. They scored 183. Let's see. On the road, they're 13-5-1. San Jose at home is 6-16-8, 3-6-1 in their last 10, minus 46 goal differential. So if you have to take anyone, you take St. Louis is king of the stinky teams.
Yeah.
Like they rule the stinky kingdom. They are the one all the other stinky teams look up to at the end of the day. The Blues hold that crown. But yeah, stay out of Stinkland.
Yeah, let's
Don't
not
even go in
there.
that neighborhood.
Yeah. Stay out of that neighborhood. It's a bad neighborhood. All right, Steve, here we go. And you can guess how I'm going to go here. We're talking about the LA Kings playing the Montreal Canadiens tonight. I think this has got to be Kings or nothing anyway. The team total that I really like for this, over 3.5 for the Kings. They showed they can score goals. Last year, and maybe, years prior, they've been a little bit lower scoring team. Still a good team, but more defensive, kind of like that, the Western Conference style of hockey, or what it used to be anyway. It's a little more high-flying now, but LA has showed this year that they can put up some goals. So over 3.5 is at minus 150. I'm comfortable with the Kings scoring 4. I think we can definitely go to that. Also, I think we could move the line here. LA minus 1.5 on the puck line is at plus 100. So we're going to get even better number if we move that 2.5. Can the Kings win this game 4-1? I think they could probably. So, Steve, I'm thinking we take the puck line where it is, move it just a hair. Kings, the total I like. I'm going to look at a game parlay. I haven't looked at even one of these throughout the whole menu here. And for whatever reason, it's not giving me the full list of game parlays, but this is something that I would definitely consider. The LA Kings to win the first period and then win the game in 60 minutes is at plus 175. So maybe if you wanted to try to find, a little bit bigger number on LA, if we're feeling pretty comfortable about that, can they come out at home, win the first period, and then win the game? Like I said, I could see this 4-1, maybe 4-2, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I think the Kings certainly have a good chance to get it done, get a pretty big 2 points here in the Pacific standings. And that would really, really do some good for them. So I think in this one, I'm going to trust them a little bit, and I'm going to get this pumped up number of plus 175 for LA in the first period and regulation. So over here, it's going to be Kings or nothing for me, really. Steve, LA playing the Canadiens. What do you think? Last game on the slate.
I mean, all week when I scroll by these injury reports, I'm shaking my head every time I go by Montreal's. Their coach must get coach of the year for everything that he's had to go through.
No kidding.
The fact that they've even played 500 hockey in their last 10 is kind of an amazing feat, to be honest. But I don't think that's going to stand up against LA tonight. And you know what? I think the quick trade gives the players there sense that the management knows the direction that they're trying to go.
Right.
And those are my players. We're going to trust you. I wouldn't doubt to see the Kings keep rolling here, to be honest, as we go through the rest of the season. They could definitely win this division. They're only 2 points back. Whatever number we're going to look at here in the futures for the Kings might be grabbable for sure because they're right here.
It's still pretty good.
We played 62 games so far, so there's not much left to play. At home, 17-9-2. I just like Los Angeles in the spot. And Jake Allen and Copley are the goalies tonight. If we look at Jake Allen, I think when we looked at him last time, it wasn't very good. So let's go ahead and recap that real quick here. If I get the game cast on. Jake Allen, 14-18-2, 3.35 goals against, 0.897. And again, Copley on fire, 18-4-2, 2.82 goals against. Montreal might not be able to find any offense at all. They do have, I believe they do have Nick Suzuki available. Let me make sure.
Oh, that's good for them
About
anyway.
that. I could be wrong about that. So Suzuki is fine, and he's the only offensive threat for the most part that I can see. But you got to give the credit to some of these players who have stepped in for Montreal. They
Oh, absolutely.
go 5-5 here, in that stretch says something. So they haven't been completely stomped on. If we look at the goals scored in the last 5 outs, Montreal scored 5, 2, 5, 5, and 1. So that's not the worst. The Kings have scored 6, 2, 3, 3, and 1. So that's not super impressive either. They need to keep the offense up, but they have the goaltending. Goaltending's winning them games for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once the offense gets clicking in again, dangerous team. Kings could get on the roll, and very motivated. They should definitely want to win this game.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna kind of trust in the Kings here. So all right, that's gonna wrap up the slate for the evening. Let's take a quick look at the futures here, Steve. A couple numbers have changed, so we'll just go over it. We'll start in the Pacific. Vegas is at plus 130 to win that division. The Kings plus 350. Edmonton plus 350. The Kraken at plus 400. And they got the Flames up there for some reason, but we don't probably even need to discuss that. And I'll tell you what, Steve, I want to see what you think and if you agree with me on this a little bit. I've been talking about LA being my dark horse team there in the Pacific. I was thinking maybe third place for them, but here they come, and they're playing well. Steve, I think that they actually have a pretty good chance to reach out and win this division. So I may take that dark horse label off of them and think of them as a serious contender to do so. I don't know. What do you think, Pacific? I'm liking the Kings. Like I said, I'm gonna keep on that train until it either derails or pulls into the station and cashes.
I mean, they're a legit team. They shouldn't be underlooked. Obviously, when you have Vegas and Colorado and more known to Edmonton gets a lot of flash because of their players. The Kings are going to sail under the radar in some sense or aspect. And those are the teams that you want. Those are the teams that are going to cash for you. You're going to get better prices on when they're not hyped up in the media. Like, for example, Colorado. I mean, they've been the favorite the whole time. They might not even make the playoffs.
Right.
The Kings are a good team. You've kind of, I'll give you credit on that, Dave. You kind of gravitated me towards checking out some Kings games and playing them, and I've had more success than I had when I've messed around with them.
Well, that's what we want.
I have them tonight on a play for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to do something with them as well. There's a couple options that we talked about when we went over that game that I'm going to look through, but I'll definitely pull the trigger on one of them for sure. So let's jump into the Metro. Hurricanes minus 210, Devils plus 190, Rangers at 25-1, and then we don't probably really need to concern with anybody else that's listed. Penguins and Islanders are in there, but that number is massive. I don't see either of that happening. So I don't know. That 25-1 still for me, Steve, is sticking out to me. They have some work to do on that. You're getting a plus 190 for New Jersey. I don't know. Maybe we take a stab at New Jersey, being that they're so close to Carolina. They've made a couple trades. They're playing well. It'll be interesting to see what they do down the stretch and how they perform in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it would probably have to be New Jersey would be my sensible pick. But that 25-1, you could definitely take a shot at with the Rangers. Steve, the Metro, how are your feelings there?
Let me flip back to that. Let's see here. Because I have some action myself. And now we're stalling out on our computer. Okay, let's see.
I think the Devils, man, they're
That's who I have. So they were plus 300 yesterday. Yeah, now plus 200 today. Because of that situation last night where they beat Colorado and Carolina loses to Vegas. Now just 2-1 now for the Devils. So I feel like I grabbed a good number with them yesterday. In fact, I think they were they higher than 300? I'd have to look. I think they were actually right at plus 300. So I feel fine with that number now. And this might be it might be going to negative soon.
Yeah, it might be as good as you get.
Let's see if Carolina can hold up. I've been waiting for Carolina to kind of flutter and kind of blow it here, but they haven't. Devils, you gotta give them credit. When they kind of got down a little bit, they've rebounded well.
Right. All right, Steve, we're gonna wrap up here in the Central. This is interesting. I like this number here. Colorado's minus 105. The Dallas Stars are plus 140. Minnesota is at plus 800. What do you think, Steve? I like that Minnesota number at plus 800. I think that would be probably what I do. What do you think?
I like Dallas. I want them to I want Dallas to win the division. That's been my pick all along, but at plus 135, I can't do it. But at that number with the Wild, I think I'm priced in for sure.
Right.
I do have some action on Winnipeg at the big number, knowing that they're right there on the outskirts. And at 17 to 1 or whatever they're paying. Is yours still paying more for Winnipeg?
I'm getting now 25 to 1.
Yeah. You had higher than me last night. Now these numbers got a little bit closer than what they were yesterday. But I think you're priced in on either one of those, Winnipeg or Minnesota. You take a shot with both.
Yeah, Steve, I agree, but
if you had Dallas at a big number early, you could have all three of these guys, and you could get a nice payoff of some sort as long as Colorado doesn't win.
No doubt. I think my pick probably would be Minnesota. You're getting a pretty good number for it. They're surging, so I think that's probably a pretty strong pick there for the Central. All right, that's going to do it for us here in the Deep End Studio. What the puck is going on? Hopefully we have found you some pretty decent angles to go through on these games. We will be back here.
Do you want to do picks?
Oh, yeah. Let's do some picks.
I'll do mine first.
Yeah, get yours.
All right, I'll do a 6-game ticket. 6-game parlay, people. Over 2.5 Nashville goals. Over 2.5 Penguin goals, over 2.5 Senator goals, over 2.5 Buffalo goals, over 3.5 Minnesota Wild goals, and I'll take the Kings minus 275 on the money line.
Nice.
If you put 25 on that ticket, I'll pay $705.
Very nice. Steve, I'm going to go LA on that game parlay, first period and regulation. I'm going to take a stab at the over here in the Pittsburgh-Tampa game. And the other pick that I like was the Senators team total goals at 2.5, I believe it was. So, yeah, there's 3 picks that are probably going to be my main card. We'll see. I'm going to look at some other stuff, but those are my 3 most comfortable picks, I think.
I just want to note, too, I added the Kings money line on. I like those 5 goal props. I was going to go with that, but I just don't think Montreal is going to win that game.
No.
And for the 5 team totals, 25 pays $5.10. Just to add the Kings paid an extra $200.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what? That's pretty good there, Steve. I like that. All right. So there's our picks. There's studio picks. We'll put those up there on the Twitter. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you back here Monday, 6 p.m. Make sure you tune in to the Friday Soccer Paycheck. If you're not, you're really missing out on some good soccer insights, some values to be had there for sure. Steve, any other programming notes before we go?
Not for the weekend. Yep, all done for the week. Back next week.
All right.
The paycheck. Yep.
Excellent. All right, that's going to do it for us here in the studio. Everybody, good luck with your tickets and